Hey there, for everyone who has questions about their payroll program, payroll in Excel for small business that I've created. I wanted to give everybody an update because we're here on January 9th and I've already delivered payroll files for companies that have employees in at least 17 states so far. I listed them here just for fun as I went through the list off memory that I've done. It's fun doing payroll for everybody across the country, like setting up a file specifically for their business. I'm going to quickly go over the questions that I'll ask you if you want one and how I'm able to do this because maintaining a version with all 50 states, it can be very time consuming. Um, but at the same time, a lot of the changes always happen right at the beginning of the year and apply for the year. So this is the really busy time. I've gone through almost every state. I don't have things like Washington State complete. Um, I haven't contacted everyone yet that had purchased one in the past, like I usually do, to give you an update and ask you if you want one. I'm going to do that over the next few days now because basically everything's ready to go and I've added in some additional functionalities that I wanted to. So this file is basically ready to go. And I'll ask you, I'll ask you, say, hey, how many employees do you have? Hires and fires, like complete list of employees that you would need that might be employed at any time throughout the year in 2024 so that I can set this up for you. It can handle, I would say up to about 50, between 50 and to 100, this file starts getting a little bit too big to manage and too many megabytes in size. But definitely under 50 for sure, not a problem, no matter what your pay period frequency is, which is the next question I'll ask you. What's your pay period frequency? Is it weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly? We have to make changes in here to account for whatever your pay period is. And also, when did you issue your first paycheck that happened in 2024? What was that paycheck date? And how many days is that after the pay period ended, right? Do you pay on Friday and your weeks end on Sunday, and you're paying weekly? That's what this is. I'm going to ask you all those questions to set up these variables because there are many different types of pay frequencies. And everything else is going to fix itself once we choose the correct one. But this setting is what I'm going to ask you. So I'm going to ask you how many employees and all about your pay period frequency and paycheck dates. And then I'm going to ask you what state or states tax withholding rates do you need? Because we have 50 states in here, even though there's like 8 or 9 that don't have any state tax at all anyway. But they still have some supplemental taxes. So like a state like Washington that doesn't have state tax still has a lot of tax work to do in their file, even though they don't have a state income tax. So which states apply so that I can prune out all the states you don't need, which is going to shrink the file because we've got a tremendous amount of data in here related to all potential scenarios in all states. That's what all this is. Look at this. Connecticut, Colorado. Look how many columns you need for Connecticut. Connecticut is a pain in the butt. There are 22 individual column calculations for potential scenarios for Connecticut, the way they do their tables. Man, oh man. Anyway, there's all these states that you may not need. So just tell me the states you need so I can get rid of the states you don't need. And those are the states we'll check before I send the file over to you. And when you make that decision about what state you're in, a lot of other things get answered because there's certain questions related to the state. That's what's cool about this file is it will automatically change the titles about whatever state abbreviation you choose. Like you can tell we're missing some information here. We need to pick an Indiana local tax. We need to pick a Michigan local tax. You can find those by typing in the abbreviation and seeing whatever state or county you have to add in here. Anyway, I'll shrink out all the stuff that doesn't apply for the states you don't have, but we do have like every state in here. And after we do that, everything gets populated. And as long as all the different ways and compensations and withholding types that your business has fall into one of these categories that we already have programmed in here, then this will work right out of the box and I can just send it to you and you're good to go. You might have something different. It might be called an IRA, for example, instead of a 401k. You might have some other type of benefit. You might want to itemize out your reimbursements between like travel and other type of reimbursements. We can do anything you want in here. But this is what it's set up for automatically. So I'll ask if you have any other special withholdings or compensation structures that we need to put in here. But once all that's done, like everything's so dynamic. You just choose pay period, choose the employee, and stuff's going to fill itself in automatically when you've entered it into the information. I'm going to remove areas that don't apply to you if you don't have employees in Pennsylvania or you don't have employees in Oregon or California. Some of these things are just going to go right off, deleted off the pay stub. You won't even see them because they would never apply to you. So you can get the pay stub down to a smaller size. It could turns to a PDF automatically. You can even, not automatically in this version, but you create a PDF out of this very easily, and you can even write a macro to have it print all the PDFs of all the employees in order. There's another version I have that does that if you need that as well. And then you have your reporting, and you're going to have a breakdown of all your state reporting and a breakdown of your 941 quarterly reporting, which just automatically appears here. You can choose pay months or pay periods. It's going to sum up automatically what you owe and itemize everyone. Now, so that just makes, and the W-2s, you got W-2 also, which will change and sum everything up for the end of the year so that you can submit your W-2s. So it's filled with awesome automatic reports. Then there's this, and I want to finish the video on this, which is this is the dynamic pivot. And the dynamic pivot is your answer to any specific question you have that you don't already see in one of the other reporting sheets. And it's a manipulation of a pivot table, but it's so incredible that it gives you everything you need, no matter if you just know how to formulate your question, you're going to get an answer. And so there are unlimited columns to choose from when you want a category of what you're looking for, right? Are you looking for an unemployment report or something? Well, we can pull in all of the unemployment areas that you need right in here so that you see exactly during what quarter. Say you're looking at Q1 unemployment. Oh, okay, well, this employee ended up paying state UI tax of $80 and also the FUTA tax, assuming you're in a full credit reduction state. The FUTA tax ends up being this $42, right? So it shows you by pay period what the withholding was. It starts to show you where the employee went over the wage base. And that's why they started creating state UI excess wages. And it shows you just it's just, I'm hesitant to talk more about the capabilities of the dynamic pivot other than just whenever you have a question, you're going to start to understand that you can find the column you need and add it to the values quadrant and get any type of organization of report that you could possibly want. And it's dynamic with all the slicers. So you can create new slicers and look by employee instead of by quarter or something. Just go to insert slicer and it opens up. You want a slicer for first name, last name. A first name, last name slicer comes up. You can color the thing and make it a different color. And then all you have to do is click your employee name and voila, you get just a report for that employee's information. That employee apparently made $459,000 this year. That's a lot of money. Now, that's a lot of money. I'm sure that the reason why it says that is because the sample I put in here gave them $10,000 a week. That's probably not going to happen. Let's keep it at like 2,500 a week or something. So we're updating Woolly Lumberjack's gross compensation for the year. Now, all of a sudden, when you go back to the dynamic pivot, you'll see that not making $459,000 anymore. Now, all of a sudden, it's down to $129,000. And the structure of everything slightly changed. You only owe $40,000 in 941 tax. All the 941 reports, everything just updated now. So now it's more reasonable. If you want to look at a 941 report for the year in here, you can use the star which does all the entire, you can always put star in one of these cells and it will give you the annual report. Shows you still owe $226,000 in 941 tax for the year. Is that right? 941 tax? We got to include Apple Picker. Yep. 226,653. 226,653. So that's showing you the breakdown of your 941 tax. If you don't want to see it by employee and want to see it by quarter, you just move the quarter over to the left. And now you have your totals of what your 941 tax was due by quarter. It's endless the ways that you can structure this pivot table to answer the question the way you're thinking about it in your brain. But it always comes out. And it's really smart and it shows you if you have any errors. For example, it's so easy to diagnose where your errors are and why. So there's a problem with the net paycheck. Oh my goodness, what's going on? We don't have net paycheck totals. Okay, we didn't put in data correctly to properly generate a paycheck for one of the states at least. I'm going to show you which state and how we find that. Grab the state, put it to the top of the row labels. Where's our error? Oh, it looks like it's in Georgia state. Why is that? Because you have to choose a filing status for Georgia or it's not calculating tax properly. Let's go look. Georgia. Who do we have in Georgia? We have employee number 5 with no name. Well, because they're in Georgia, they need to fill out this area in red, which is telling you have to fill out a filing status. Let's call them Georgia single. Does that fix our error? Refresh the pivot table and voila, it does. And so all of a sudden we don't have errors when it comes to net paychecks. So this dynamic pivot really helps you in identifying that you've entered in your data correctly and completely. It's really almost foolproof in that sense. It helps you just see everything visually and understand if something's wrong. And yeah. So that's why I offer this product. Is it's too helpful to not do this for everyone and update it every year. I understand that you need this for your business when you've come back to me and the dozen plus people that have already received delivery on their file for this year. You searched me out to get this. I didn't email anybody. I will email everyone else on the list, which is dozens and dozens and dozens of people. I'm sure I got to find like 50 people that still haven't responded to me, or that I haven't reached out to yet. I will reach out to you and send you this video to show you, what the new version looks like and if you want one. And I'm able to trim these down fast enough that I see reductions in prices. Like I'm charging $175 for a new version. I should charge $150 for a renewal. And some of you, I'm even giving you a discount on that because your files are so easy that we've been doing it forever. And I don't have to ask you those questions anymore. So I'm able to trim down your files. Some instances in under a half hour. And sometimes if I already have a version for your state, like it's taking me 10 minutes to do it. So I'm going to keep doing it. And of course, inform me when there are tax changes or some notice that you receive from the state, which I may not get, not having a business in your state. Let me know if there's a change, and then we can attack that and make the raw version, the template version correct so that it continues on and can be used and always be as accurate as possible. All right, so that's the payroll update. It's looking good and stuff's getting delivered and things are working, and there's a good functionality here. So payroll should be easy. We're going to continue to make it so.